Welcome to another episode of Power Move Makers. This series was created with a simple goal in mind: to bring to the table high-level executives, successful entrepreneurs, and just all-around inspiring human beings. Not just focusing on their successes, but shining a spotlight on the journey that it took for them to get there. Now, this week's guest I brought on because I get so many requests, basically because of my background in the music industry. People always ask me, Sean, how can I get a record deal? If I'm a producer, how can I get my beats placed? I wanted to bring an expert in this area so that we can have a deep dive conversation and I can extract all of the information for anybody who is looking to get a beat placed, become a producer, and make their mark in the music industry. So this week's guest, please welcome to the Power Move Maker series, Miss Sarah Johnson. Sarah, welcome to the show.
Hi, Sean. Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Thank you for being here. It's a lot I want to go over today. You have worked with artists and producers. You had a very long-standing career in the music industry. Can you please just give us a little background on yourself and your history?
Yes, I've been in the game for about 14, 15 years. I started out on MySpace, was like my #1 networking tool. I used to work out of some different studios in DC, in the DC, Virginia area a long time ago. I'm originally from Chicago. And I just started networking heavy on MySpace. I started to, just kind of reach out to people. I love networking. And so I would just do a lot of networking online and things like that. I used to send beat CDs to the labels once I started to kind of grab different producers from MySpace and different areas of studios and things. I used to shop beats to the labels, send CDs out every single day. I would FedEx stuff. I didn't care how much it cost. Like, I just felt like this is an investment. They're going to get my stuff tomorrow. I'd call up there. Hey, this is Sarah. Did you get my beat CD? Oh, no, it's in the mail room. I'll call you back. So I kind of got the runaround a lot, you know what I mean? And so that's when it just sparked in my head. I was like, I got to go see these people. So I would take flights back and forth to New York and LA, sitting down with, Riggs and Conrad and Lenny S. and all the vets, in the A&R game, just building the relationships. And once I started to do that, like, everything really just picked up. I started to get a lot of mixtape placements, with Jim Jones, Lloyd Banks, and 50, and, all the old New York rappers. And then it just started to pick up, mixtape work turned into album work. And I felt like my name was kind of buzzing about, like, where are you getting these beats from? People started reaching out to me. I didn't have to chase so much, so that felt good. So whenever I'm talking to producers now in the game, I always tell them, like, try to build a relationship with the artist and their manager as soon as possible. Just because, you're getting directly to the source. It's not so much middleman shit and stuff like that. But you got to network. You got to get out here. You got to travel. It's just really crucial if you really want to just kind of just stand out from all the other producers that are doing the same thing, spamming online. Hey, Wale, did you get my beats? Did you click my link? Like, you got to find other ways to just stand out.
Understood. Would it be safe to say that you are an expert in the area of shopping beats, placing beats, and working with producers?
Yes, I would say so. Yeah, for sure.
So we're talking to the right person. I just wanted to establish the credibility because you obviously, I know who you are. There are many people who are going to watch this and they're going to be glued to either the YouTube version or the audio version on podcast form, because you're going to be able to provide information that they are so desperately seeking.
Yes.
I want to make this segment specific to upstart producers who have no placements whatsoever and mid-tier producers who are not necessarily household name, but they might have a placement or two, might have been featured on an album or a few mixtapes, but their name is not out there yet. They're still in the area of their career where they're struggling. Nobody's calling them. They're still needing to shop, network, and do all the things to get their beats placed. I am a brand new producer, no placements whatsoever. What is my rate? how am I establishing getting my music? Let's say I do get my music out there, and we'll get to that part. But what am I charging?
Well, you want to keep your prices pretty low if you have nothing out, because you have no value to yourself. You want to build your discography. You want to build the value to yourself in your catalog. So when I say keep your prices low, anywhere from $50 to $100 for non-exclusive. If it's exclusive, $300-400 range. Always ask people their budget. You know what I mean? You might be dealing with somebody from overseas that has a lot of money to spend on beats or whatever, and maybe you shoot yourself in the foot or whatever with your price. So always ask their budget. I do that all the time. I tell producers to do that. But like I said, keep your prices low to keep people coming back to you until you have something of value, until you get a single, until you get a bigger record where you can charge more.
Okay. I just want to make sure I heard this clear. If I have 0 placements, I get an artist, they're loving my beats. Now it's time for a monetary transaction. Am I charging literally $50 to $100 to that beat? And if that's correct, and I heard that correct, explain to me the difference between exclusive and non-exclusive.
Okay. Non-exclusive is they don't own the beat. Exclusive is they own it. So if they are leasing for non-exclusive and they're a brand new producer with nothing out, I would charge, around $50 to $100. If you are a new producer with nothing out and you're over here charging somebody $2, $3, $4 grand, it's going to look kind of crazy because you have nothing out. And somebody will say, hey, well, I'll just go over there to YouTube and buy some beats for $20. I mean, dudes do this all the time. You know what I mean? So if you're trying to compete with the other guys that are out here with no placements, keep your prices low until you get some value to your name, and then you can ask for more. But I'm specifically talking about leasing right now. So if it's going to be exclusive, $300, $400, $500 range until you get a big placement, then you can charge more.
Okay, got you. If I'm a mid-tier producer, I have sold a couple of beats. Not a household name yet. What should my rate be?
Okay, so now you're looking at, the standard rate right now, industry standard rate for a new producer with no placements on a major label is between $1 to $4 grand. So let's say I placed a beat for Kevin Gates a few years ago. A producer never had any placements. They gave him $1,000. Okay, that's what they gave him. 7 to 10 years ago, I used to see dudes get 7 to 10 grand. But because the game is so oversaturated and the budget shrunk, they don't have this big upfront to give new producers for their beats. And I really feel like, the streaming money's here and everything like that, and they should give producers more upfront, but they don't right now. So $1,000 they gave him, and then let's say, boom, you get a Torey placement, your fee might go up to like $4,500. And it's just going to keep building the more records that you have under your belt. So you just want to keep working, just developing those relationships until you can keep on stacking up those records. It's going to make your track fee jump.
Okay, this is your area of expertise. Is it not common wisdom, if someone is in love with your beat, does it matter if I place beats before? Wouldn't they be willing to spend more for a beat, even if I've never placed one beat or I've never had a single? Or does it not work like that?
I mean, over the years with the internet kicking in and all these free software programs and people are bootlegging Pro Tools and things like that, it has made the track value just diminish. And I feel like even though you think your tracks are so great, and you've never sold anything, but then you have somebody come and they love your beat and they're in love with it and they want to keep it and they want it exclusive. Some guys, and you can ask a ton of producers, they just don't want to pay for the beat. They don't want to pay a bunch for the beat. Like they're like, oh, I'll just give it to you on the back end, or oh, you'll get your percentages and points on the back end. But a lot of people don't want to pay that upfront fee,
Before we move the interview forward, is there money in the game for producers? I know we're focused heavily on entry-level producers and mid-tier, but the game is making money again. This is not like 2005 through maybe 2015, where
right.
The well had dried up. There's
Mhm.
a lot of money back in the music industry.
There is, yeah.
You know, do you ever get to a point where you can make real money as a beat producer?
You can. I mean, there's tons of way to get money in this game as a producer or an artist, but it depends, like, what are your outlets? What are your networking skills? What is your network like? You know, are you tapped into music supervisors where you're licensing your music on background television commercials, things like that? Do you have a steady clientele base that purchases beats from you? Some people do. Some people have online beat stores like BeatStars or Track Train, Airbit, any of these platforms where they have clients that come and lease a good amount of beats that kind of keep them afloat. You know what I mean? Like, a lot of producers' bread and butter is the leasing game. You know, a lot of producers are making good money leasing. But as far as like that long-term money, that's going to come from publishing. And that's why it's so important that if you're a producer and you're looking at like longevity in this game, is really to get records out here so that you can just keep your publishing going, you know, and that's really where a lot of the money is going to come from.
Okay, so let's talk other revenue streams. If I'm a music producer, talk to me about points. If I'm an entry or mid-level producer, what type of points am I looking at?
You're looking at between 1 to 3 points as standard. So when they create the, you know, the producer deck and agreement and things like that, it's going to be in there. It's going to be in there for you to sign off on.
So is this the same? Is this the same for entry level and mid tier, or is that 1 point geared toward entry level, the 3 points geared toward mid tier?
Yes. It's going to be based off of your discography. Everything is a stepping stone in this business, like, you know, and so you just got to keep on working, keep developing yourself, and just keep on trying to get placements to get your discography up.
Understood. Let's stay on the lines of the different revenue streams. What type of advance is an entry level or mid tier producer looking at?
You're looking at between the 1 to 4 grand range. Like I said, if you have nothing out, they're going to look at your discography, publishers, and these teams. They look at your credits. So they're going to be able to see, you know, what you have out here. If you have nothing placed, it's going to be in the $1,000 range.
I guess I'm asking, maybe I didn't frame the question accurately again, and I apologize because this is your area. When I'm thinking of in advance, are they giving me, let's say I sign off on a beat for $1,000. Am I getting a full $1,000 front? Am I getting 50% and then there's 50% on the back end? How am I getting paid?
No, you'll get the whole up front. Like, let's say you place a Torey record and you get $4 grand up front. You're going to get the whole thing up front, and then you're going to get your back end, whatever comes in with the streams and the digital stuff. You're going to get your back end publishing.
Okay, one thing before we move on. I know you're tapping the desk, and I'm hearing the sound feedback as you're doing. So please insert your hands. Okay, so I would get all, if I sign off on a $1,000 beat, I'm gonna get that money right out the gate. I don't have to worry about the back end.
Yeah, you're gonna get that up front.
How does royalties work? How does publishing work?
Yeah, so publishing works, you know, they collect all the streaming stuff, the digital stuff, the overseas radio, satellite, all those things combined, and unit sales, and you're gonna get your just due to your publishing checks from all that whenever they collect everything.
Okay, we all hear the horror stories about people saying, I've only got my advance. I only got my front end money. I've never ever seen a publishing check. This is something that is far too commonly heard in the music industry. Is it as simple as going to your mailbox every 3 to 4 months and there's gonna be a check there? Why do we even hear that argument? And what can people do, producers who are getting in the game, what can they do to ensure that their publishing is intact?
Okay, that's a good question. I get that question a lot too. A lot of times when you're dealing with the publishing and the split sheets and things like that, which is really important to sign, you're not getting the other party's information. So let's say Jeezy reaches out to the producer and says, hey, bro, send me over the files and your BMI number. And the producer sends over the files and his BMI number. And let's just say the major artist goes and registers the whole thing in his name and doesn't get the producer's information. Do you think that that stuff is going to be registered for the producer? No, because they're looking out for themselves. So that's why when you know that it's going to be a placement, you have to do those splits so that they have your information, you have their information, and when you log into your BMI or ASCAP account, that everything is there, because it's going to have everybody's names and their IPI number and all that stuff. So it's really important to get both parties' information. So if an artist does hit you, and let's say it's not going through me, and they hit you direct, and maybe you're starstruck, oh, this is him hitting me, I'm going to send him everything he wants. No, because it's going to be hard for you to get paid on the back end if they don't have your information and you don't have theirs. You're not going to find, you know, Jeezy's ASCAP number floating around online. You'll find his government name, but not his ASCAP stuff. And that's why it's really important to do the proper paperwork when you're filling out these records. And that is why producers don't get their back end money a lot of times, is because it's all fucking unorganized, you know?
Understood. Talk to me. You just brought up split sheets.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a novice. What is a split sheet? Where do I get it from? Who supplies it to me? How do I make sure it's filled out properly? Talk to me in depth about these split sheets.
Yeah, the splits are percentages broken down of who did what on the record. So it's the producer's share, it's the artist's share. The artist's share is always 50%. The producer's share is always 50%. Your government name, your production name, any sample information, the name of the beat, the name of the song, you know, my ASCAP number, their ASCAP number. Everybody signs off on it. Everybody gets a copy. I always make my own split sheets. You know what I mean? I've been doing this for a while, so I know what goes on there. There's templates online. Also, the label sends the splits over for you to fill out and sign too. So it can happen a few different ways. But if you have your own template on your laptop, you'll be prepared. So when you do need to fill out splits and it's going to be a secured placement, that you have that information.
Okay, you're seasoned. You've been doing this for years. So, of course, you may have your own. You also said that there's some online. But say, you know, just for lack of a better example, you were speaking about Jeezy. Jeezy reaches out to me. I'm a new producer. I'm starstruck. I send my stuff over to him. How do I ensure, like, at that point, should I get a lawyer in? Should I go online and download this split sheet and send it over to him? Should I send it over to him before I send the beats to him? Like, what is the process coming from my standpoint as a new or mid-tier producer?
Yes, if you feel uncomfortable that you need to get a lawyer, yes, you should get a lawyer, definitely. Or if you have a manager at that point, they can help you with that administrative stuff. And that's where I kind of come in when I'm placing beats and brokering things, is I help out with the administrative side, because I know that it's new for producers and I like to help them out with the paperwork. But you do need somebody that knows what they're doing if you don't know what you're doing, and to just kind of help you properly register everything. When it's coming from the label, a lot of times they'll send the splits over with the producer agreement and the producer deck, and you'll be able to look at everything if you need a lawyer still, and look at everything and sign off on it and turn it in. But I wouldn't send over files with no paperwork or files with no check. You know what I mean? Like, you want to hold on to those files.
Okay, you mentioned ASCAP and BMI. Again, there are a lot of producers out there. They have not placed anything yet. They may have heard of these organizations, but they don't know what these organizations do. Explain to us what these organizations do, and once I fill out the split sheet, how do I make sure that it's properly registered with any of those organizations you mentioned?
Okay, with the splits, you either turn that into the label and then they take care of that end, but then also you register your own stuff. You log into your ASCAP and BMI account and you register your own work.
Stop there for 1 second. And again, I want to go slow because you know this. Somebody in the audience might not. How do I even get an ASCAP or BMI account? Do I need to be represented by both or just one? Really slow walk us through this process.
Okay. So ASCAP and BMI are PROs, which stands for Performance Rights Organization. And then they also have CSAC, that's another one. And then they have SOCAN, if you live in Canada, that's the one that you would sign up with. They're all really good. No one is better than the other one. They're all professional. All major producers and artists are signed up with either one of those. I'm with BMI. I really like BMI. And you sign up. You pay your $150, and then you will get like 5 different names, you know, like Sarah J Music, Sarah J Music 1, whichever one is available out of those 5 choices. That will be your publishing name. And then, you know, when you look on credits and things like that, you will see that appear, and that's your publishing name. And it will also come with the IPI number, which is attached to your account, you know. You register your own works though, like you log into your account, and anytime you get a placement, you register it. Now, the thing that I see a lot happen with producers is they tell me, oh yeah, I just registered my my beats with BMI. Registering your beats is different from registering song placements. When it's an actual full song placement, it goes through your BMI, your ASCAP, or your CSAC. If you're talking about registering beats, you're actually talking about copywriting beats through copyright.gov. So that's different. So a lot of producers, they get that confused. They think that they need to copyright their beats through their performance rights organization. And when it becomes a full placement is when you do that.
Okay, so you said you were registered with BMI. Going back to my earlier question, if you're registered with one organization, do you need to be registered with any of the others, or does BMI handle collecting all of your royalties?
Yes, you only need to choose one. Yep, just choose one.
Okay. Now, Prez Beats, I'm finally on the verge of selling my first beat. I have somebody who's willing to pay. I'm ecstatic. I'm now registered to BMI, ASCAP, CSAC, and I forget the other one you said.
SOCAN.
SOCAN. I send my split sheet over. This is if I'm working from and handling my business over myself. I can go to the internet, download a split sheet, send it over to the artist or his representative or her representative. Once they fill out their side and we can both agree on these terms, whose responsibility is it to send this information to either BMI, ASCAP, or the other?